Hello, everybody out there. This is Emmett Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Spun61 on all places on the internet, and I am back with another video on this personal channel. It's been a long time since I've posted anything on the channel here, and there's plenty of good reasons for that. I've been steadily working over at VGU.TV in my free time when I'm not at actual work that pays me, but I've been working over there a lot. I've been doing a lot of articles over there. I did the Donda review over there if you wanted to know my opinions on that high profile release from a couple months ago. I've been doing, of course, the Players Club podcast, which we try to do almost every week there. And just been doing a lot of features there. I just wrote a top 21 list for my favorite video essays of 2021. So, I've been doing stuff. So I apologize that I haven't been back here too long. Hopefully you guys haven't been missing me too much. I mean, I do want to thank everybody for the fact that I'm at 100 subscribers now. I remember when I did the J. Cole video when the last time I was on this channel, that wasn't quite the case. So I want to thank everybody who's come in recently. Thank you to everybody who's come in from, I know my Walking Dead unboxing video kind of, if not blew up, it is getting help from the algorithm in some way. So I'm very thankful for that and just very appreciative overall for anybody who comes by and decides to stick around. So yeah, thank you for that. But today isn't a time to talk about how the channel's going and what I've been up to. What we're going to be talking about today, we're going to do a video kind of similar to the other videos on this channel where I just sit here, talk over some gameplay. Today we're going to be playing some Fortnite, or at least that's what I'm playing right now. And I'm going to be talking about music, but not just any single album. I'm going to be talking about my favorite albums of 2021. Now, I have 10 albums here. They are in ranked order, and of course, we're going to be going backwards. Just starting at 10, and we'll end at 1. But let me just be straight up with you at the front here. 2021 has been a weird year for me. It has been a year of, really, it's like 2021 was supposed to be the big bounce back, the big comeback. And because, 2020 was so terrible for everybody, with COVID and everything and just all the anxieties all around COVID, really put a lot of people back. And I had some other anxieties just in my personal life that were just hard to deal with. And so I thought this year was going to be, okay, this is where I'm really going to come out swinging. And then nothing about the world really changed. So nothing about me really changed. So it was a bit rough. So because of that, I wasn't in the best headspace for consuming new media. I didn't really feel like I wanted to have a take on anything for several months of this year. So I spent a lot of that time just retreating back to comfort media. So going back to albums that I loved from the past, going back to movies I loved, TV shows I loved, games I loved from the past, and not really trying out too much of anything new, with the exception of video essays like I talked about earlier. But yeah, these albums we're going to talk about today, I did listen to some of these a whole lot. Like a lot of these were in heavy rotations for several days, if not weeks. Some of these I only listened to like once all the way through, twice all the way through. They didn't really stick that much, but I did enjoy them while I was listening to them in the moment. So there's your heads up on there. This is in order, but don't feel too bad about the order. This isn't super strict because for some of these I could easily flip one or the other around. So don't take this order as like the end all be all, but it is a rough estimation of where I'm at. And as we get closer down to 1, those orders are going to be a little bit more well defined. And number 1 is definitely number 1 with a bullet for me. And without further ado, let's go ahead and hop over to the 10th album. And I'll tell you right now, if you're not a hip hop fan, I apologize for the fact that there's pretty much all hip hop on here. And if you are a hip hop fan, do not judge me for one of these. That's all I'll say. So let's go ahead and start this out with number 10. Number 10 is one of his releases. He put out 2 albums this year. This is the first one that I think he put out. I know the last one just came out a couple days ago, but enough beating around the bush. It's Nas. Nas with King's Disease 2. I thought this was a really solid album. I liked it a lot. Hit Boy, of course, coming with the production. And I really do feel like Nas and Hit Boy are starting to turn into a bit of a dynamic duo. Like they're turning into a Gangstar, they're turning into a Prime, they're turning into God, who see, I was just about to say Ninth Wonder. You know what? What's her name? I just saw her on Rhapsody. Ninth Wonder and Rhapsody work together a lot. So that feels like another parallel there. They're turning into, I want to say Ariana Grande and Pharrell, but Pharrell, you know what? Clips and Pharrell. That's even a better comparison. Because when I think of Clips back in the day, I think of Pharrell's production. Ariana Grande made that one album with Pharrell, Sweetener. So I guess that's why I was thinking of them. But just going through the track list, I'm not going to, elaborate too much on all these because I know how long my videos are on this channel. So I don't want to keep y'all here all day. But they had a lot of good tracks on this album. Really, King's Disease 2, I mean, it's called King's Disease. So it really did feel like Nas is just rapping from the standpoint of, I've made it. I've been a legend in the game for a long time. And these are just the things I'm seeing from my balcony view looking down at the rest of the rap game. And so I really appreciate that perspective. It's kind of similar to, of course, Jay-Z with 444 back in the day. And you can see my review for that from years later on this YouTube channel. It really has that viewpoint of it. But with the production from Hit Boy, it feels a little bit more upbeat where, God, I forget who did the production on 444, but a lot of the production on 444 felt more minimalist and felt more reflective, where King's Disease 2, all these beats pretty much go hard. All these beats have a really good energy to it, despite the more reflective and look backy vibe and tone of all these songs and lyrics. So really liked it. Of course, y'all know me. I'm an Eminem fan. So EPMD2 I thought was really, really good. I really appreciate that M is starting to, when he hops on these features, he's not just doing his whole shout out, be inappropriate, be aggressive vibe on every single feature he's on. He's lowering his voice a little bit. He's coming down more smooth on here. And I think he fits on a Nas song more than I would have expected when I first saw that track listing there. So very happy with that song. Of course, I think YG did his thing on YKTV. I thought that was great. Lauryn Hill. Did not expect Lauryn Hill to have a feature on any type of album I would listen to, because I feel like Lauryn Hill is just chilling. She really doesn't feel any pressure to come out here and perform. And then she blew this feature away as well. She really, really killed it. So I loved her on that. And yeah, a lot of these songs were great. Nas is good. That last little outro where where he's talking about how he had a chance to get everybody to get all the people in the West Coast beef and the East Coast beef from the 90s to get them all in a room and talk to each other. And then, of course, Tupac tragically died, and then Biggie soon after. So yeah, that's the type of stuff I mean, where he's been around for a long time. He's just sharing his insight. I find that really fascinating. The only thing I'd say about King's Disease 2 is that it's not too short, but it just didn't stick on the ribs for me. I don't know why. I think it's subjectively a good album, and I did enjoy a lot of these songs, of course, but I like Store Run as well. If we want to talk about moments, I thought was great, and Death Row East was also great, but the album overall just didn't blow me away. Like I said, it didn't stick with me for very long. Once again, I think it's really good. I think it's great even, but when it gets right down to it, it just didn't stick with me as long. So that's one thing I got to knock it there for. And that's, the main reason why it's at number 10. But we got some other albums we're going to talk about here. So from there, we're going to go on to number 9. Number 9 is going to be Planet Her by Doja Cat. And this one probably isn't too much of a surprise if you've been following me on Twitter, and maybe even, I don't know how people would know this, because it's not like people can just look up your TikTok algorithm, but the internet definitely knows that I like Doja Cat a lot. I swear to God, people make fan cams and little fan videos all the time. The only celebrity that I get shown fan cams and fan videos for on TikTok is for Doja Cat. I love Doja Cat. I love her personality, and clearly I like her music quite a bit as well. Now, talking about her album here, I think the problem with her album is, or not even a problem with it, it's more that it's similar to King's Disease 2. Similar to King's Disease 2, the entire album as a whole didn't really stick with me. It didn't really stick to the ribs. but I will say a lot of the songs that I do like on here definitely stuck with me more than a lot of the songs on Nas's album. You got songs like Woman. Oh man, that one is catchy, but it also has a nice groove to it whenever it actually is coming on and I hear the beat. I love that song, Getting to It, Yeah, which I know is kind of a little kind of silly meme song, but man, that song, it goes hard and I love it every time it comes on. And one of these days I might sit here, put it on repeat for a bunch of times so I can listen to the lyrics and learn them so I can just spit it to myself when I'm just chilling. But yeah, I love that. You know, the Ariana Grande feature was great. Young Thug. I really think Young Thug fit pretty well on that Payday track. I remember enjoying that. I think JID for Options, he fit even better. I was so excited and happy to see JID on an album like Doja Cat's, because I know Jid is actually a very big artist. I don't want to, go with this mindset that, oh, Jid is so underrated, even though I do genuinely feel like he's one of the more underrated acts out right now. But it really felt like a big shine for him to get on this album, which I know is going to be super popular. I mean, everyone loves Doja Cat. Doja Cat's probably one of the biggest pop stars in the world right now. So yeah, I really love that. The Weekend feature, I think the extended version of the Weekend feature that is on Planet Her Deluxe is a little bit better than the original version. And then this Eve track that she had towards the end of the deluxe version, the track by the name of Tonight, that track felt like it came straight out of like 2004. It was kind of unreal how much it sounded like an old track. It's a track that I find more novel than good. I appreciate that she made it, and I think it's really cool to see Eve back on a song after all these years. But yeah, overall, like I said, there are a lot of songs on here that I really enjoy that stayed on repeat for a really long time. But overall, if I'm being honest with myself, the album as a whole just didn't really stick with me. I feel like there wasn't much connecting all these songs throughout. So the album just didn't stick with me that much. Oh, and I'll be damned if I forget this. Kiss Me More featuring SZA. Oh my God. Great song as well. And I know that song's everywhere. I know it's all over TikTok and so on and so forth, but that song fucking goes hard. So yeah, love me some Doja Cat. Love me some Planet Her. I can't wait to see what she does next. I feel like, even though she's been around for a couple years, I feel like she has matured. I feel like this is her, to use a Kendrick analogy, because everyone on this channel hopefully by now knows I'm a big Kendrick fan. This feels like her Good Kid, Mad City. This feels like her, oh shit, she can make a really good album. Now let's see what she does after this. Where her other albums felt like, those were her overly dedicated. Those were her Section 80s, where you could tell there's something there, but it's just not properly refined yet. I think she's refined it now. And so now it's just, how far can you go? And I know there's been some controversies and stuff, not with her. She didn't do anything wrong, but like, I know she may or may not be in love with the idea of continuing to make music and stuff like that. So I'm praying for her. Hopefully she's good, whatever, or hopefully she can find joy in this new life of superstardom that she has. Hopefully, the external pressures and factors that come with that life don't bear down on her. And hopefully she can find fun in creating this music, because I think it is really fun. I think the music is really good if she can find the fun to make the music. I don't want to force her to do something just for my enjoyment. So yeah, Doja Cat did a good job with Planet Her. So after number 9, we have number 8. And this one might surprise people. I think people would expect me to love this album just because I love some of the people involved with it to a very high degree. But ultimately, when it gets right down to it, I like the album a lot, but it shares some similar issues to albums that we talked about earlier. And that album is The Melodic Blue by Baby Keem. Yeah, man. Here's the issue with this album. I think it's really good. Now, don't get me wrong. I think The Melodic Blue is really good. I think Baby Keem has a very unique voice in hip hop. I think it's he has a very interesting instrumental style, a very interesting way of rapping on beats. I feel like it's very hard. He has a style that, how do I want to say? He has a style that's hard to copy, but that I can easily see a lot of people trying to. Like, I can see people trying to mimic his delivery, and I can see people trying to mimic his instrumental choices and falling flat on their face because just straight up copying it isn't going to, bring over the essence of what he has here. But I think he does great with what he has. Looking at some of these tracks, I love Pink Panties. I think that song is incredible. Issues, I really like that song as well. A lot of songs on here. Vent, I think, is great, even though they took off the Kendrick feature from the leaked version. I still think Vent is a great song. And then, of course, the two Kendrick Lamar features, Range Brothers and Do-Rag Activity. Y'all already know. Or not Do-Rag Activity. Family Ties and Range Brothers. Y'all already know I love those songs, and those have been on repeat for several weeks. I think South Africa. I remember how that one goes. Yeah, I like South Africa a whole lot as well. So yeah, some really good tracks on here. And I would even say, unlike the rest of these albums that I've talked about up to this point, the Melodic Blue does feel like all the songs fit together in one coherent entity. Like, all these songs might not all sound the same or might not have similar themes and vibes between them all, but they all feel like they belong. It all feels like it's all pointing towards the same goal aesthetically, if that makes sense. So yeah, I really appreciate that, but I would still argue that this is less to do with any songs really lacking in quality and more to do with the songs that I love a lot. Like Range Brothers and Family Ties, because Kendrick's on it, those were like the songs I listened to. Like, I listened to the entire album a couple times, but after a while it became Range Brothers on repeat, Family Ties on repeat, which I hate to do because I'm sure Baby Keem wants to be a little bit more respected as an artist than that. But I got to be honest with myself. At a certain point, I was like, all right, go back to the Top of the Morning part, which I'm a little ashamed to admit. But hey, I must admit it nonetheless. So, yeah, I think the album's still great. And of course, it's here over the Nas album, which is probably a big compliment for Baby Keem. But I think he did a great job. I'm excited to see what else he does. I know this is not his first project, but once again, to use the Kendrick Lamar comparison again, I do think this is his Good Kid, Mad City as well. This feels like his most polished project to date. Now that he has this polished focus, let's see if he can carry that over to future projects. I'm very excited to see what he does in the future. And I think he has a very unique voice in hip hop that I want to see carried on, and maybe carried on with even more features on the next project or just on other people's albums. So yeah, very excited about that. And after number 7 here, we're going on to number 6, which basically we just talked about how Baby Keem would work well on features on other people's albums. This is one of those albums in which he had a feature. This one is Donda by Kanye West. Now, people might be a little surprised about this one. Now, I talked a lot about Donda. I talked so much about Donda leading up to the release, after the release, leading up to my review a couple days after the release. It was a topic of conversation and something that I've thought about a lot over the years. Good God, over the last couple months. And at the end of the day, I do still like Donda a lot. I do think that album is more good than bad. If you want to look at my review for the album, of course, I will put that in the description on VGU.tv. You can go ahead and check it out over there. But the thing that I had a problem with this album was, for every good decision, for every brilliant choice, for every revolutionary musical thing that Kanye does on here, it feels like there's a flip side. There's a stupid choice that he made on the backside of the coin here. And it really annoyed me. Great examples of this. Once again, I get to this in my album review, but for those of you who aren't going to watch that, Jail, the second album, the first actual full song on this album, I think is incredible. I think that Jay-Z feature does so much for people like me who just wanted permission, wanted a go-ahead to welcome Kanye back into our lives, so to speak, because he had been saying so much raunchy, rancid, horrible, deplorable shit. And we just wanted some type of sign from a trusted peer to say, hey, Kanye's back and he's not on that bullshit anymore. And Jay-Z's verse here kind of delivered that for us. And I think having it at the beginning of the album really kind of served as that, hey, come on in, and then we go in through the door and then we're greeted with the rest of this album. So I thought that was so incredible and so wonderful. But then you have Jail Part 2 at the end of the album, where you get the baby on here, and then you overlay vocals from Marilyn Manson, and the baby is delivering a verse that is so unapologetic about the shit that he said, where he's not even apologizing for anything. He's saying, I say one thing y'all don't like and then y'all don't fuck with me no more. It's like, yeah, we don't fuck with you. Like, it's people doubling down on their worst impulses. And, you know, it's someone like Marilyn Manson. It's like, why even hit them up? And, you know, I get into, you know, the delusion of Kanye and all that stuff in my review, but that's really my issue with this album. For every good choice, he makes a frustrating choice. And not all of these are related to, you know, the artist that he's working with. Some of these are just straight up, like in the case of Pure Souls, the original version of Pure Souls that he released at the Atlanta listening party, that was the best version of Pure Souls I could ever imagine. But then he adds a very extended, like, vocal solo at the end from a artist whose name I'm forgetting, but I do reference her in the review. And she just, I feel so bad for her because she's singing well and she brings a decent bit to the track, but it just comes off as too much. Like, the song was already doing enough, and then it's too much with this really long solo at the end. And so, yeah, it's like that song was so good until the very end. And I feel like that's the case with this album, where you're like, oh, this is great. You know, tracks like God Jr. was a great track. Praise God was a pretty good track. Off the Grid, incredible track. You know, a lot of good songs on here. Jonah, incredible. And I forget the name of the song. Keep My Spirit Alive. That's the one with West Side Gun and Conway the Machine. Love both of those artists. We will be talking about them a little bit later here as well. But I just thought that so many songs on here were great. And then you got little filler here that I thought wasn't great, or just really weird and stupid choices from Kanye. So overall, Donda is still very mixed. I think still some of the highest highs on an album I heard this year, but also some of the lowest lows. So yeah, Donda sitting there at number 6. Got to drop it off there. So yeah, let's go on to, actually, we are on Donda, right? 10, 9, 8, 7. Donda is number 7. I'm an idiot. Let's just recap real quick before we get to 5. King's Disease was number 10. Planet Her was number 9. The Melodic Blue was number 8. Donda is number 7. And then, yeah, this is 6 now. Good God, I'm an idiot. Number 6, because I'm doing this through Google Keep and everything. You know what? Actually, let me pause this and put numbers on these. Give me just a second. All right, so I was right about the listing. I'm good. For a second there, I thought that I had added more than 10 albums on here, and that was going to be a problem. But no, I'm at 10. And King's Disease was number 10. Planet Her was number 9. Melodic Blue was number 8. Donda was number 7. Now we're going to talk about number 6 here. And number 6 is this might be the most recently released thing on this entire album, but I'm going to go ahead and talk about it. It's from Russ, Chomp 2. That is right, ladies and gentlemen, Chomp 2 by Russ. I don't talk about it too often, but Chomp 1, I think, is an incredible album, record, EP, whatever you want to call it. It was definitely not an LP. I'll say that much, but Chomp, I just think it was great. You know, Russ isn't an artist I really think of at all. I'm really not looking for him. I'm really not checking for him. I really don't think of him as like an artist of note in my head, which sounds super disrespectful, but I'm sure he would be disrespected by it because I know he's, you know, big on the ego, that guy. But he's just not an artist I really look for. But Chomp 1 really had me looking at him then, because what he did with that album, I think, was really cool. You know, he got a lot of features that I love. You know, Crooked I, one of my favorite rappers. I guess now he's King Crooked. Apologies. That's one of my favorite rappers there. You know, he's getting with Benny the Butcher. A lot of the hardcore, you know, real hip hop, quote unquote, artists that I like. Those are the people that he called on for this album. And I think it was a very short album. It was, once again, not even an album, more of an EP. But I think those, 5, 6 songs were really, really good, and really showed me that, hey, Russ can handle himself with the best of them, you know, with the greats. And sure enough, he's back with Chomp 2. the thing that I think is a little bit weird is that Chomp 1 was like what, 2019, and here we are with Chomp 2. I I don't think of him as an artist that makes the type of music that is on Chomp. Every time he makes a Chomp type album or even a Chomp type track, I feel like he's going out of his comfort zone. So it's weird to see him going out of his comfort zone so soon, once again, after, you know, the last one. But I'm not even going to complain. We got even more songs here. We now have 14 songs, which is almost, or probably more than double the last one. And he's got a lot more hardcore features here. We got somebody like, all of these artists I've heard of, not all of them I am like hardcore a listener of. Like in the case of Bucket Hat Low featuring Papoose, I don't really think of Papoose as being like one of my personal goats. I know he is a goat, but I'm not really checking for him like that. But man, he killed this verse. Like Papoose really tore this one apart, and I appreciate that. Ransom did really good on his track right before that. You know, a lot of features like that. Even Lloyd Banks, because Sci-Hi to Prince I really like a lot, but Lloyd Banks came on the track with Sci-Hi and Russ and really took it over and did his damn thing. So yeah, a lot of good features on here. Shoot, even the people that I do know I love. Jay Electronica's on here doing great. Big Sean's on here doing great. Joey Badass. West Side Gun. Oh my God. Salute is one of my favorite songs of the year. Like Salute featuring West Side Gun and Styles P. I think that's literally probably a flawless rap track. Just everything from the instrumentation to how these artists are on the beat, some of the bars as well. I think it's incredible. The Game's on this album as well, and I love The Game. Jadakiss is on here with Faith right after Salute. So good. Big Crit and Snoop Dogg trading it over a DJ Premier beat with Russ. Like, he knows what the fuck he's doing. He knows how to make a hip hop classic. And honestly, these Chomp albums kind of give me the vibe of the documentary 2 and 2.5 from The Game, where The Game is an OG. Like, The Game has nothing to prove. Even back then when he released the documentary 2, he didn't have anything to prove. But you could really feel that The Game was trying to make a classic album. And I think that while those albums, I think they're close to classics, I think they're really, really good. But, you know, you can just feel that aura, like, you know, he's going for something great. I feel that same aura with Chomp, and even more so with Chomp 2. With Chomp 2, you can tell he's trying to make an album that hip hop heads like me are going to think back to and be like, all right, that was a classic. That was great. And I don't know if he's necessarily done that. I feel every song on here is a great song. I think there's nothing bad on this album. But it's just weighed down by the fact that it's Russ. Like, no disrespect to Russ, and I know I'm straight up disrespecting him with this aside, but I just still don't think of Russ as one of those goats. But I think he has earned his spot in that conversation with now 2 of these Chomp projects. Will I ever look at him that way? No. It's kind of like how people say Drake is a goat. I don't think of him as a GOAT because when I think of his albums, I don't think of him as being a rapper in most of his albums, at least the last 3 at least. When he hops on a rap track, he can definitely hold his own. He definitely delivers when he hops on a rap track. But when you look at his more recent albums, he hops on a rap track maybe 3 out of 12 of the songs on an album, or closer to like 3 out of 18 songs on an album. So that average is pretty low. For Russ, I kind of feel that way, but instead of it being 3 songs out of every 18 songs on an album, it's more like 2 albums out of his entire discography of, a dozen albums? Like, he's put out a lot of projects, and I just haven't really cared to listen to any of them because it's just not my vibe. But Chomp, I think he delivered. I think it was great. I don't think Russ is ever going to hear this, but if Russ is hearing this, all due respect to you, I think you're a great rapper. I don't think you should change your entire, your target market just because I want you to keep making chomps. If you keep making chomps, I'll be happy. But I also feel like that wouldn't be true to what you want to be as an artist to make chomps. So do what you want, but I'm just going to love Chomp for what it is. Chomp 2 is great. If you loved like that boom bap hip hop shit, if you love the lyricism, if you love the boom bap beats, you got to check this one out. So yeah, gotta show some respect to Chomp 2. After that one, we are at number 5, almost exactly halfway through the video. I don't know if this will be an hour long, but I'm sensing it will be. And here I am saying, oh, it won't be that long of a video. Nah, I hear my black ass is talking too much. Number 5 is another album, boom bap shit. We're going to have a lot of boom bap shit on here. But this one's a little bit more than boom bap shit, I would say. And this one is Hitler Wears Hermes 8 by Westside Gunn. Now, I'm going to keep it real with you, Chief. I only started listening to Westside Gunn really hardcore like sometime last year. I want to say it was either last year or 2019 where I really started getting into Westside Gunn. So his Hitler Wears Hermes series, I am not super familiar with, but god damn, man, I really like this album. And it took me a while to warm up to it. I felt like the first time I heard it, because there is, I don't know if he calls it 2 versions of this or if it's like a deluxe version, but I'm looking at it right now. Yeah, it's more of a 2 different versions of the album. So let's say, so he has Hitler Wears Hermes 8, Sincerely Adolf, and then he has the more recent release of Hitler Wears Hermes 8, Side B. Side B is the one that I liked a lot more. I felt like the pacing in Side B was a little bit faster, because one thing I felt about the original Sincerely Adolf one is that it just felt so, because like you're listening to Westside Gunn, you're going to be getting some Drury beats, you're going to be getting some like really slow paced shit for people to just rap really grimy over, and I appreciate that. That's a big reason why I love it. But for Hitler Wears Hermes, it feels like there was for Sincerely Adolf, there was so much prelude to it. It felt like it took forever for them to actually get into, going real hard into any of these songs, where the other version of this side B really feels like, okay, now we're getting into it, we're getting grimy, shit is happening, like it feels more exciting. But both of them, I'd say, I'm gonna just conflate both of them into one Hitler Wears Hermes version, because Hitler Wears Hermes 8, I think it's really good, like vibe music. Like the thing that I always think of when I think of Westside Gunn is he makes waking up in the middle of the night to a drive-by with like Spike TV infomercials on at like 3 a.m. That's the type of music he makes. That's what his sound is. He makes very dreary, almost otherworldly beats, like you're drifting away into some other planet, that are aggressive, but not aggressive in like a we're loud and we're proud type of way, aggressive in like a very deep, sinister type of way that I find very, very compelling. And a lot of his music is less about nailing complicated flows or even having too many in the way of like crazy punchlines. A lot of it is just like, it sounds right. Like the way they're delivering these lines is kind of what makes the flow sound impressive. Where it's not like a Busta Rhymes type thing where it's like, oh man, he's fitting a lot of syllables within a second. It's more of just like, he's rapping slow, but he's saying it like he really believes these words. Like he is saying it like he's really going to kill your mother. I'm not saying someone said that line. I wouldn't be surprised if someone said that line in these albums, but it feels like some real shit. It feels like you're being brought into a different world. And I think that is incredible. I think Westside Gunn he's getting his flowers now. I don't want to say he's underrated. He was on the Kanye West album we just talked about, but Westside Gunn, I think, has a very unique voice, a very unique style for hip hop in general, but I think he's just very unique. I can't wait to see him blow up even more. I don't know how much more he could blow up, but the thing I appreciate about Westside Gunn is that I feel like he is in that more higher upper echelon of hip hop right now, but he has not left his day ones. Like he's still working with a lot more lesser known artists. He's got, Billy Esco's on here, Armani Caesar's on here. Now I'm gonna keep it real with you, Chief. I'm saying these names because I don't know them. Like Jay Worthy, that's not a cat that I've heard about a million times. Larry Loon, not a person I've heard about a million times. Stove God Cooks, not a person I've heard about a million times. And I'm sure they have a lot of respect in their circles, but I ain't heard of them. So it feels like, and I've heard other albums from Westside Gunn and I've seen these names on there. So I know he's been working with these people for a while. So it's refreshing to see these albums come out from him where he's at this higher level. And you're seeing the 2 Chainz features, you're seeing the Jay Electronicas, but he's not replacing the Benny the Butchers and the Conway the Machines with those new bigger names. That's what I'm saying. So really appreciate it. Hitler Wears Hermes 8 is an incredible piece of work, whether or not you're listening to the Sincerely Adolf version or the side B version. But it's good shit. It's good shit no matter how you cut it. And that's it for number 5 on that one. Number 4 of my favorite albums of 2021. This one is the one I told y'all, hip hop fans, you're expecting me to talk about like some real grimy hardcore hip hop shit the whole time. This is where I'm not going to do that, because I listened to a lot of this album back when it came out. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention it. And that album is Olivia Rodrigo's Sour. Yes, I know, I'm a basic ass bitch, but let me talk about this a little bit. Now, this one is a shorter album, tragically short, honestly. I feel like I could go for another, 15 minutes of music or so on this one, but I did enjoy what she delivered nonetheless. Why I like this album is that it just feels nostalgic in a way where I maybe shouldn't be relating to it in a way, because I was never a teenage girl. I never had any type of relationship drama at any point in my life, let alone in high school. So like a lot of these songs talking about heartbreak and all this stuff shouldn't be able to relate to. But despite me not really having relationships growing up and all that stuff, I relate to the melodramatic feelings of these emotions. Like I had been in love when I was her age. Or her age. She's like 18, right? So God, I'm old as shit. I'm like 10 years older than her almost. Jesus Christ. But in any case, when I was a teenager, I had been in love and I had strong emotions about, girls and stuff. And a lot of the songs on here kind of reflect the bigness of those emotions and how they feel like they take over the entire world. A lot of these songs reflect that, let's see. Happier. Oh man. Happier hits fucking like a truck for me. I love that song. Hope You're Okay is an incredible song as well. Of course, Driver's License is the classic. That's the one that everyone knows, but I like that song a lot as well. Brutal at the beginning. Oh, so good. So good. And then you get to Good For You. Good For You is the one that just sounds like a Paramore ripoff, which, no disrespect, it does sound a lot like Misery Business, but Misery Business is one of my favorite Paramore songs. I don't really listen to Paramore like that, but there's like, maybe 3 or 4 songs from Paramore that I think are fantastic and that I adore. I know all the words to Misery Business, and Good For You definitely feels like the type of song where I could learn all the words on that and fall in love with that in a similar way. So yeah, Sour, it just hit all the right notes for me. I adore that album. Can't wait to see what Olivia Rodrigo does next. I don't know if she's going to end up being, for me, someone like an Ariana Grande, where Ariana is one of my favorite pop artists, in general, in history. I love her so much. I have her album on the wall, for Christ's sake. I don't know if Olivia Rodrigo is going to be on that same path. I know she's like a Disney kid, so we'll see what happens with her. But God, she has a bright future ahead of her. And if she can keep up this type of quality, hopefully she can, no disrespect, because I do like this album, but every song on this album is about being in love and being betrayed and all that type of stuff. I really am interested to see, live a little bit more life, see if you have other topics and other ideas for songs and what else she could write about, because I like love songs, but I'd love to see what else she can do. I know she's capable. She's clearly talented here. So I'd love to see what other topics she can write about that isn't just, heartbreak, which is respectable. But for 34 minutes straight of just one topic, I can understand how it can be tiring. So really love Sour, though. I will definitely be listening to more of it in all likelihood as I get my feelings from time to time. And I can't wait to see what she does next. And from there, number 4, we get to the top 3. These are all going to be hip hop albums, but they're all going to vary pretty differently in different ways. So number 3, people have been expecting this. This was one of my most anticipated albums of all time. I didn't even think we'd be getting this album. I thought we'd be getting a different album entirely from this artist because he had been teasing a different album entirely than this. And maybe that's still coming sometime soon, but I'm not going to hold my breath for it because this year we got The Off Season by J. Cole. Yeah, the off season by J. Cole, I really, really enjoyed this. If you want to hear my like full over an hour long thoughts on this album, you can go ahead and check out my YouTube channel. Go ahead and click there. I made a video about it 7 months ago. That's the last thing I uploaded to this channel. So if you want to hear my deep, deep, deep thoughts on off season, you can go ahead and check that out. But yeah, I thought this album was pretty much everything I wanted from J. Cole. I feel like J. Cole has a thing where he's trying to be like an Andre 3000, where he's trying to prove that he can make a body of work, make, albums and, projects without depending on the talents of other artists. I think he really prides himself on being able to have enough diversity, have enough lyrical ability, and just lyrics in general to be able to fill an entire project with nothing but his own words. And I respect that. But you could tell with some of his projects recently, like KOD, that would have benefited so much from just some other people's voices. You could tell collaboration is something that Cole has desperately been needing for a very, very long time. I would say even going back to like For Your Eyes Only, even though For Your Eyes Only was pretty good, it was still pretty short. And I still feel like, how do you say this? For Your Eyes Only, for as good as it was, it's not that it needed people, but that was probably the last album where, okay, J. Cole, you don't need anybody else. We love these albums regardless. KOD was the first time where it was like, all right, you need some help on this. And the off season is him taking that criticism to heart. This is the first time on a J. Cole album, if not, definitely not ever, but the first time in a long time where he's getting other artists on here. 21 Savage is on here. And I think J. Cole and 21 Savage have a really incredible chemistry to the point where if they made a joint album, I think that would be an incredible album. I think I would love to listen to that. But 21 Savage is on this album. Boz is on here. Lil Baby is on here. Black is on here. A lot of good features. And I'm not even going to say it's overwhelmingly packed with features. A good half of these songs are just J. Cole. But getting that help kind of adds to the variety of the project a lot more, to the point where I think it makes it a lot more listenable. And it kind of brings in some people from those fan bases as well. And just J. Cole leading up to the offseason, he's doing so many features. He's collaborating with so many other different artists that it is really refreshing to see him hop on these other beats, hop and take direction and kind of follow the lead of these other artists out there. Because like I said, he is so focused on doing his own thing, where I feel like it was going to detract if he kept doing that for too long. So I'm glad that we have the off season here to reflect his changing of opinion on that type of direction. So yeah, the off season is really good. We want to talk about songs that I really like. Of course, talked about it on the video, but 95 South, incredible song. My Life, even better. I think My Life, Applying Pressure, and Punching in the Clock, that 3-pack of songs right there, the best 3-pack on this entire album. I think that's just incredible. 100 Mil is great as well. Pride is the Devil, excellent. Really, almost all the songs on this album are really, really good. There's only a couple of them that I think are a little bit like, it is what it is. Like Let Go My Hand is fine. I don't think it's bad, but I never have an urge to listen to it. Hunger on the Hillside is another one where I never have the urge to listen to it, but I think it's a fine song. And even 100 Mil, sometimes I'll get the urge to listen to it, but it's never because I want to listen to it. It's more because I want to get the fumes from that hype, because 100 Mil is a very hype song, but it's also a very simple song. So it's just not something that I feel myself wanting to dive into too much. And even Amari is kind of similar to that, where Amari, I want to catch that vibe, but I'm not sitting here like, oh my God, I got to listen to that lyricism. Even though there is a little bit of lyricism on Amari. But yeah, that's enough for the off season. Once again, listen to my video, watch my video that I made about that with some Apex Legends gameplay. If you care to look at that, you can check that on the channel. But after number 3, we're going to talk about number 2. This is from an artist that I didn't even know this artist existed. I did not know who they were, what they were, anything, until I saw a freestyle of them. I think they were on, God, what's the one with Funk Flex? Whatever the one with Funk Flex is, the radio station. I want to say Hot 97. Hot 97, I saw this dude spit, and I was like, that's fucking incredible. I wonder if his actual music sounds like this, and his actual music sounds like this. Ladies and gentlemen, number 2 is Home Court Advantage, Volume 1 by Marlon Craft. This motherfucker here, holy shit, threw me on my ass with how good he is. So for those of you who don't know, Marlon Craft, he's a New York native. He's been making music for a little while here. You know, looking at his albums, his first album was in 2017, The Tunnel's End. And he made another one, Funhouse Mirror, in 2019. And then this year, he's been putting in a lot of work this year. This motherfucker has 3 albums that he put out in 2021. In fucking credible, if you ask me. He has How We Intended, Space, and Home Court Advantage. Now, I think they're all great, but the best way I can explain it, How We Intended and Space are more albums about like feelings, emotions, specific things in his life. Like both of those albums feel like, okay, these are coming, like this is like cathartic. This is maybe like some, I don't want to call it therapy necessarily, but it's closer to like a therapeutic way of making music. Home Court Advantage is just the hits. Home Court Advantage is the first one I listened to him. When I heard of him, this was the first thing I clicked on when I went to a Spotify page. And Home Court Advantage is just nothing but, okay, that song's hard. This bar's hard. That beat goes hard. Everything on there is like a consistent, solid vibe of, not every song on here is like mega hype, but it just carries you. It's like, how can I explain this? I was going to use the analogy of like in a cartoon when they smell a delicious pie and they just float on it. It's kind of like that, but I feel like I'm floating the entire time I listen to this album. Like you start at Oh Lord, where it's all hype, and then the loop mellows it out a little bit more, and then pace makes it a little bit more hype again, but not overwhelmingly hype. Not like Watch the Throne, garish, greatest of all time hype, but just like, yo, I'm gonna talk my shit for a little bit. Lost Faith brings it down again. It kind of like ups and downs, ebbs and flows. And when I say downs, it's more downs in energy rather than quality. Bluffin', of course, the skit, I could take it or leave it. You know, the voicemail skit is fine, but Bluffin', I think, is great. Bozos is great. Tom Thibodeau is great. Deadish is great. Stressed with the Best. Oh my God. The feature on that one with, Mr. Benjamin, I want to say Oswin or Oswin, one of the two, but Stressed with the Best, just the feature on that one is incredible, is crazy. All We Got, incredible. Halal, incredible. Every song on this fucking album is fucking excellent. I can't speak enough to the production on this. I think Marlon Craft, you look at this kid and he just looks like a white boy. Like he looks like the guy from fucking Star Wars. I forget his name. God, what's his name? He was in the Bus Driver movie. He was in the Christianity movie from Martin Scorsese. God damn it. I forget the actor he looks like. So if you search Marlon Craft, you'll know what the fuck I mean. You'll look at him and think about that actor too. But he looks unsuspecting, but his voice is so fitting to like that grimier New York hip hop style that all of these beats really match that. And it really feels like these are the type of beats where they're great hip hop beats, and I could easily imagine someone from New York rapping on them, but they're not New York rap beats. They're not like your Ghostface Killah, your Jay-Z's, your Biggies. They're not like that type of beat that you would expect them to hop on initially. If they hopped on it, they would also fit, but they're not something you would attach to that type of vibe, that type of voice per se. But hearing him hop on these types of beats are incredible. These are like more kind of like, I was going to say DJ Premier, but less DJ Premier, more Ninth Wonder. These are like some Ninth Wonder beats, and you could easily think of those artists on Ninth Wonder beats. Shoot, I'm sure a lot of those artists have hopped on Ninth Wonder beats, but it's just not the first destination you would think for those voices. And he definitely brings that type of voice to these types of beats, and I think it's incredible. These aren't actually Ninth Wonder beats, but they definitely have that vibe, definitely have that feeling to them. And I love Ninth Wonder. You know, I listen to all of his Zion series all the fucking time. So I absolutely love Home Court Advantage. I think Marlon Craft, after this year he's had, I hope he blows the fuck up. I hope he doesn't start growing, or I hope he doesn't stop growing. I hope he gets all the success possible. I know it's been a little bit rough for especially independent musicians out here trying to navigate the world where they can't go perform and all this stuff. But goddamn, he really brought out the big guns with this album here. And it's short too. It's a 30-minute listen, less than 30 minutes. It's 29 minutes and 15 seconds. But it goes by in an instant. It is so good. I just keep it on repeat at work. And honestly, at a certain point, once I got tired of Home Court Advantage, I would play Home Court Advantage. Then I would play his album Space that came out this year. Then I would play the other album, How We Intended, right after that. I just play all three of them back to back to back to back to back. So yeah, it's great. It's great. I think Marlon Craft is someone to definitely look out for. I think his music is excellent, and hopefully he can maintain that momentum for the next year and beyond. And from there, we're going to talk about an artist that I haven't thought about. I ain't been checking for him. I ain't really considered him to be great or anything, but I thought, he made some decent songs, some songs that I like here and there, some features that I like here and there. God damn, I don't know what it is, but this album he put out this year, could not put it down. And I think it has less to do with him and more to do with the just the vibe that he set and the vibe that he carried through on this entire album. And that vibe isn't all due to him. It's a lot due to the other people on the album. And that album is from Lil Yachty, and it goes by the name of Michigan Boy Boat. Could not believe this. Michigan Boy Boat is my favorite album of 2021. And honestly, it's my favorite album of 2021 because it's my most listened to album of 2021. And I have to explain why it is my most listened to. Lil Yachty is an artist that I've respected. He'll hop on features and I think he's pretty good. I feel like Lil Yachty over the last 2 years or so, maybe even less than that, maybe a year and a half, he has transformed himself. Where I never thought of Lil Yachty as a lyricist before. Now I feel like he is a lyricist. I feel like when he hops on, you're not going to get some crazy lyrical miracle, let's talk about the ancestors type shit. Like he ain't pointing to his head in that meme. But he is going to have some pretty clever bars. He has a lot of fun, clever bars in his raps. And I think Michigan Boy Boat is the best example of that, or the best showcase of that, I should say. Because he's hopping on these really kind of I don't even want to say otherworldly beats. A lot of these beats feel, this is going to come off disrespectful, but understand I do not mean it disrespectfully. A lot of the beats on here feel amateurish. They feel a little bit silly, a little bit not taken seriously. But I think that's also the fun of it, where this entire album feels like a posse track. Like this album feels like a party. Like just when you're listening to it, like Final Form feels like, all right, we're going to put this song out. People are still funneling in. And now that everybody's in, let's get T Grizzly in here for Dynamic Duo and fuck this shit up. And let's actually go. And then Concrete Goonies is another one where it's like, all right, take a break, rest up, get some juice, get some drink or whatever. And we're going to mellow out for a minute. And then you get Don't Even Bother, where it still is a little bit more mellow than Dynamic Duo. But then, you got Baby Smooth on here and everybody else on this track. They just bring that energy that is still slightly mellow, but still has an energy to it where you want to bob, but you don't want to get out the chair, It's a type where you move side to side, but you're not on your feet yet. Love that shit. G.I. Joe, I think, is great. Never Did Coke with Sway Lee, I think is a good halfway point almost. It's a good... it's another one to get you leaning with it, rocking with it. Ghetto Boy Shit is just it's a simple song when you listen to it, but it makes you want to just fuck shit up. It has that dark energy to it that I really, really enjoy and really am intoxicated by. Fight Night Round 3, I think is great. SB 2021 with Sada Baby is great. I think both of the Sada Baby features on here are pretty damn good. Stunt Double's great. All these songs I think are great. I think they just flow together. I think they maintain this not overwhelmingly hype energy, but this energy that is just chill enough to still be a vibe, quote unquote, but it's hype enough to make you want to move a little bit. I don't think anybody's I could easily see people turning up to this one to the highest degree, jumping on tables, twerking, all that shit. I could easily see people doing that to a lot of these songs. But at the same time, I could easily see all these songs being something you just pass a blunt around to. This music goes good for we're all dancing, we're all turned up. It goes good for we're kicking back and we're just mellow. It fits both energies in a way where I couldn't get enough of it. Like when I was at work for the first couple months of the year, I guess the first couple months after this album came out, this is all I was listening to. Maybe not couple months, maybe like a month and a half. But first couple weeks, I was just listening to this album on repeat. It just hit for me. And it's really hard to explain. And I understand, for people who might be watching this because they, know that I was going to have Olivia Rodrigo on here or Doja Cat on here, this probably isn't the type of music because Michigan Boy Boat has some filthy lyrics. We talked about a lot of hip hop here today. A lot of these songs have some filthy lyrics, but Michigan Boy Boat is like very messy. There's some really fucked up shit that is said in some of these, but like it doesn't feel hateful. It feels like I just said some silly shit to make the rhyme fit, or I just said this to like we're just all having fun. The energy of this feels like we're all having fun rather than it being hateful or, overly aggressive in any specific way. So now I feel like I'm speaking from a little bit of ignorance because Michigan Boy Boat, like I said, I don't listen to Yachty like that. Even though I'm an Eminem fan, I can't say I listen to too much of other Michigan hip hop. I listened to a little bit of Sada Baby back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean like maybe 2 years ago. Babytron, I've heard a little bit from. Babyface Ray, I've heard like maybe one other song from him. Sway Lee, I've heard 1 or 2 songs from him. T Grizzly, I've heard a handful of songs from. I think T Grizzly is pretty great. But a lot of these voices and I guess faces or whatever are very new to me. But goddamn, I feel like I really need to go do my research because after listening to this album, God, this is really good. The only thing I'm concerned about is like how much of my enjoyment of this album has to do with Lil Yachty and the energy he brings and the vibe he brings. Because even Lil Yachty, he popped up on Donda as well, had one of the best verses on the entire album as well. So I think his energy and stuff is good, but I'm trying to balance how much of my enjoyment of this album is due to Lil Yachty versus how much is due to the Michigan atmosphere brought on by all these Michigan acts. So that's to be determined. All I know, Michigan Boy Boat, my favorite album of the year. I think it's incredible. I think it's awesome. I think maybe not everyone should listen to it, but if you like hip hop and you don't mind some fuck shit being said every now and then, I think it's worth checking out. So go ahead and check this one out. It's a very, very, very fun listen. And that's it for me, y'all. That is all the albums I'm going to talk about here today. I want to thank y'all for sticking with me towards the end of this video. I'll probably have to play some more Fortnite because if I wait this out right, I remember catching about an hour of footage for this video. And if I'm going to be talking for an hour and some of that footage is menus, I'm probably going to need to play for a little bit more. So I'm off to go play some more Fortnite. And in that case, I'm going to see y'all next time. I don't know when's the next video I'll make for this YouTube channel. I can promise you one thing. Whenever Kendrick Lamar drops an album, I don't know if it's going to be next year, but whenever Kendrick drops an album, I am there. I know Corday, his album's already been dated. That's coming early next year or early 2022. I don't know if I'll be here talking about it, but I will be talking about that album. Very excited for Corday's new album. When JID drops his new album next year, in 2022, I mean, I'm very excited for that. So I will be talking about that in some form, either on this channel or I'll write about it on VGU. So all three of those are like my big anticipated musical things for next year. So I'm very excited for that. And hopefully Chloe Bailey. We didn't really talk about it because all she did was put out a single, Have Mercy. But Chloe Bailey, I'm very excited to see what she does. I think y'all know I love Chloe and Haley, Ungodly Hours. So can't wait to see what they do next year. There's a lot of music stuff to look forward to, a lot of game stuff to look forward to. Stick over to VGU.tv if you want to hear my thoughts on all that stuff. But that's it for me here. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for listening. If you want to hear more stuff from me, go to VGU.tv. We're doing Game of the Year stuff all throughout January. So that's mostly what I'll be talking about there. And then also Keeping It 100. I finally did finish that project. So you'll be seeing the video versions of that stuff get on our YouTube channel soon. Ooh, excuse me, but you can check out the stream archives if you want to see my final ranking on there and my article on vju.tv where I wrote about all 100 games. So that's all I got to say today. We're going to wrap this up before it actually gets to 2 hours on here. I got like another minute, but I'm not going to try and drag it out, y'all. Once again, thank you all for supporting me throughout this entire year, not just for this video. Hopefully you guys have a good 2022. Hopefully we all do, for Christ's sakes. And much love to you. And once again, thank you. And as I always say, this has been Imma Watkins Jr., also known as EJ Spunks1. Keep it real and keep it trill. Peace out, y'all.